Hello, and welcome back. Let me take you back a bit, because to understand the weight of what's happening now, we have to remember where these women started. Nina entered our lives as a complicated newcomer, a woman who had endured unimaginable pain, a 2-3-year coma that stole years of her life, only to wake up and discover a daughter she never knew she had. Willow, that sweet, resilient soul who came into the picture through adoption and later the shocking revelation of her biological ties to Nina and the late Nell, has always tugged at our heartstrings. I remember cheering for Willow during her early days as a teacher, watching her navigate the aftermath of that cult nightmare with Shiloh, and then finding love with Michael Corinthos, becoming part of that sprawling, resilient Corinthos clan that has weathered mob wars, betrayals, and endless threats. Nina's journey from vengeful schemer to a woman desperately seeking redemption and family bonds has been one of my favorites to follow. She's made mistakes, plenty of them, like her clashes with Carly over Sunny and the children, but there's always been this underlying vulnerability that makes her relatable, especially to us older viewers who understand how life can push a person into corners they never imagined. We've seen her fight for custody, rebuild her career at Crimson, and grapple with the complicated love she still feels for Sunny even after their rocky marriage ended. So when the latest twist hit, involving Willow's descent into something darker and Nina's startling pivot, it hits me personally, like watching a family member I care about make a choice that could either save them or shatter everything. The story that's been building has left me genuinely stunned, and I suspect many of you feel the same way as we gather around our TVs or chat with friends at the senior center about the latest episode. Willow, once the moral compass in so many storylines, has been quietly orchestrating a plan to keep Brennan subdued through poisoning, yes, poisoning, and it all ties back to her efforts to protect herself and perhaps her position after that confrontation with Drew that left him paralyzed. She's been the one behind the injections, the manipulations, turning what started as self-preservation into a calculated web of deceit. I have to pause here and ask myself, as I often do when the writing takes these bold turns, is this the Willow we fell in love with? Or has the pressure of her life as a congresswoman, wife to Michael, and daughter caught between two worlds finally cracked something deep inside? In my view, it's a shocking evolution, but one that makes a twisted kind of sense when you look at her history. She survived so much trauma, the loss of her first child, the manipulations from others, the weight of secrets, and now, seeing her become what some might call a new disaster in Port Charles feels both heartbreaking and compelling. It's like the show is reminding us that even the gentlest souls can be pushed to extremes, and Willow's panic when things spiral out of control only underscores how fragile her control really is. She's terrified that Brennan will expose her role in harming him, unraveling the careful facade she's built, and I can't help but empathize with that fear, even as I shake my head at the path she's chosen. We've watched characters like Nell, her twin sister in spirit, if not in life, embody pure chaos, but Willow's turn feels fresher, more insidious, because it comes from someone we rooted for as a hero. This is proving to be a new shock for the show. One that challenges our loyalties and makes us question if redemption is always possible or if some paths lead to irreversible darkness. And then comes Nina's decision, the one that truly took my breath away and has me replaying the scenes in my mind over and over. Instead of continuing to follow through on Willow's plan to keep poisoning Brennan, Nina stops the injections cold. She looks at this man, this intelligent, dangerous figure who's been a wild card in Port Charles for some time now, and proposes something audacious, a life-or-death alliance that shifts the entire power dynamic. She promises to help him recover fully and evade the police surveillance if he leverages his vast network to take out the real threats, Cullum and Sidwell. Ross Cullum, that shadowy WSB director who's been pulling strings from the background, and Jen Sidwell, the ruthless operator whose influence has rippled through so many recent dangers in town. These aren't small-time players. They're the kind of antagonists who threaten the very stability of everything the Corinthos family and others have built. Nina's move isn't just about stopping the poison. It's a calculated gamble, born from what I see as a mother's fierce protectiveness mixed with her own survival instincts. She's always had that fire, that willingness to cross lines when family is on the line, and here she is, forging a pact that could either be her greatest triumph or her undoing. I admire the boldness of it, honestly. In a show filled with characters who play it safe or stick to old grudges, Nina stepping up like this feels refreshing, even if it leaves me worried for the fallout. What if this alliance exposes more than just Willow's secrets? What if it drags the entire Corinthos family into a war they didn't see coming? Sunny has faced down mob bosses and federal agents before, but a united front between Nina and Brennan, with their combined smarts and resources, could be a force unlike anything we've seen in recent years. As this unfolds, a dangerous romance begins to spark between Nina and Brennan, and that's where the story takes on an even more intoxicating layer. It's not the sweet, sweeping love stories of our younger viewing days like Jason and Sam's early bond, or even Sunny and Carly's fiery passion. This is charged with risk, intellect, and mutual respect between two people who understand the underbelly of Port Charles better than most. Brennan, with his sharp mind and criminal savvy, meets Nina's resilience head-on, and together they form this new powerhouse, ready to crush anyone who stands in their way, including, potentially, the Corinthos clan that Nina was once so intertwined with. I have mixed feelings here, as I'm sure many of you do. On one hand, it's thrilling to watch Nina claim this kind of agency after years of being defined by her relationships with men like Sunny or Valentine. She's not waiting for rescue. She's building her own empire, and that speaks to the strength we've always known she possesses. But on the other, I wonder if this romance, born in the shadows of betrayal and deals, can truly last without consuming her. We've seen similar pairings before. Think of how alliances in the WSB world or mob ties have led to heartbreak, and I fear this one might isolate Nina further from Willow and the family she craves. Yet, in my heart, I root for her to find some happiness, even if it's wrapped in danger. Because after all she's endured, doesn't she deserve a partner who matches her fire rather than tries to tame it? This whole arc has me reflecting on how General Hospital excels at these family betrayals and moral gray areas, the very things that have kept us hooked for generations. Willow's transformation into this new kind of threat isn't just plot convenience, it's a mirror to real-life complexities, where good intentions curdle under pressure, and one bad decision snowballs into something monstrous. I keep asking myself, and I bet you do too, could Nina have found another way to protect her daughter without crossing into this deadly partnership? My answer, after pondering it through countless episodes, is that in the world of Port Charles, the straight path rarely exists. Nina's choice highlights the show's strength in showing how love can drive us to extremes, and while I might disagree with the ethics of it all, I applaud the writing for making it feel so raw and human. It ties beautifully into the broader threats from Cullum and Sidwell, those WSB insiders whose corruption has been festering like an open wound in the town. Eliminating them could bring peace to so many storylines, the hospital intrigue, the lingering mob tensions, even the personal dramas at the Metro Court, but at what price? The Corinthos family, with Michael and Willow at its core, stands to lose the most if this new force turns against them. And that tension keeps the suspense alive in every scene. Looking back, this storyline reminds me of the epic power struggles from the past that defined the show for us longtime fans. The Cassadine curses, the ELQ corporate battles, or Sunny's wars with the five families. General Hospital has always thrived on these shifts, where one character's bold move reshapes the landscape, and Nina's deal with Brennan feels like it's injecting fresh energy into the narrative just when we needed it. I'm concerned for Willow. Of course, her panic is palpable, and as a mother figure in my own life, I see how her fear could push her further into isolation or even more desperate acts. But perhaps this shock is exactly what the show needs to explore deeper themes of forgiveness, the cycle of trauma, and whether blood ties can survive the ultimate betrayals. In my opinion, the writers are striking a perfect balance here, delivering the high-stakes drama we crave while keeping the emotional core intact. It makes me appreciate even more why we've stuck with this show through thick and thin. because it doesn't shy away from the messiness of life, the way families fracture and reform, and the unexpected alliances that can either heal or destroy. What strikes me most is how this arrest storyline ties directly into Willow's growing obsession, a new fixation that has consumed her in ways I never anticipated. What began as self-preservation has morphed into something darker, an all-consuming obsession with control and revenge that now risks everything she holds dear. And at the heart of this new obsession lies her intensifying hatred toward Nina. The betrayal she feels from her own mother, stopping the poisoning and striking that dangerous deal with Brennan, has ignited a fire of resentment in Willow that burns hotter than anything we've seen from her before. I find myself asking, as I'm sure many of you longtime viewers do while watching these scenes, how did the sweet, resilient Willow we knew transform into someone so consumed by bitterness toward the very woman who gave her life? In my view, after following these characters for decades, this explosion of troubles represents a powerful new chapter. Willow's hatred isn't simple anger. It's become an obsession that blinds her to reason, pushing her further into isolation and potentially more desperate actions, even as the WSB closes in. It creates this explosive tension that could shatter the mother-daughter relationship beyond repair, while dragging the entire Corinthos family into yet another crisis. Nina's bold move, meant perhaps to protect her daughter, has instead fueled Willow's rage, creating a vicious cycle of betrayal and counter-betrayal that feels both heartbreaking and utterly compelling.